Spring is the time of the renewal of the cycle of life. Come and join us on a walk through springtime forests and meadows to discover the secrets of the life cycles of nature's jewels, the spring wildflowers of the Mid-Atlantic region. Accompany botanists and nature lovers on this visual experience of the blooming sequence of the wildflowers featured in this video. Enjoy hearing the historical, medicinal, and edible uses of these short-lived treasures, the spring wildflowers. American Indians had a wide knowledge of the local plants and used them extensively as food and medicine. European settlers learned about these plants from the Indians and were greatly dependent upon them. In today's industrialized society, few people recognize, let alone utilize, native wild plants. The Mid-Atlantic region extends across 3 geological provinces. The coastal plain is underlain by comparatively recent sedimentary rocks, some still unconsolidated. The fall line separates the coastal plain from the Piedmont province. The diverse geology of the Piedmont includes granite, gneiss, schist, slate, marble, and some scattered areas of sandstone and shale. The very western extremes are bounded by the Appalachian province. The rocks which underlie the zone are primarily granite, gneiss, marble, limestone, and other sedimentary rocks. While the Appalachian Mountains serve as a form of geographic isolation, rivers of this region provide a migration route for seed and plant dispersal. This is why many wildflower species indigenous to the mountain river valleys can also be found in abundance along riverbanks of the Piedmont and coastal plain. Many people feel that the appearance of nesting birds and blooming dogwoods signifies the beginning of spring. But early in February, in wooded areas, a life cycle is beginning again. Long before the tree canopy begins to close over in mid-April, and while sunlight is at its maximum on the forest floor, underground rhizomes and bulbs send their reproductive structures to the surface. Even though the air temperature and bare ground are below freezing, leaf litter as well as snow can maintain temperatures around 34 degrees Fahrenheit. The overhead tree canopy begins developing by mid-April and is completed by early May. In deciduous forests in March, 50% of the sunlight is available at ground level. By mid-April, it is 32%, and it drops to less than 10% by early May. The filling in of the canopy with leaves not only affects the light intensity that reaches the forest floor, but also the amount of moisture that gets to the ground by effectively blocking rainfall. Air temperature in the early spring may vary from 32 to 77 degrees. While insect pollinators do not become active until air temperatures reach 55 degrees, bumblebees are an exception, becoming active at 41 degrees. It is during this narrow time frame from March or early April until early May that the forest wildflowers must be adapted to spring's widely fluctuating weather. They require enough warmth to begin and sustain above-ground development and enough light and moisture to carry out photosynthesis so that energy may be locked into their underground storage structures. And, when they bloom, it must be sufficiently warm that insect pollinators are active. Fruit and seed set must occur by the end of late spring. In the deciduous forest, up to 30% of species of wildflowers have their seeds dispersed by ants. The seeds of these plants have a fat-rich structure called an elaiosome, which attracts the ants that will disperse these seeds away from the parent plant and away from other animals that might destroy the whole seed. Bloodroot, twinleaf, violets, Dutchman's breeches, and wild ginger are just some of the species that have their seeds dispersed by ants. The following listing generally illustrates the blooming succession of spring wildflowers in the mid-Atlantic woods from the tail end of winter to the start of hot weather. Harbinger of spring may bloom as early as mid-February, making it one of the earliest signs of spring. It ranges from 2 to 6 inches in height. Its habitat is rich deciduous woods. There is a belief that the Cherokee Indians chewed it to relieve toothaches. Skunk cabbage is one of the first signs of early spring. It blooms from mid-February through April and grows from 2 to 4 feet tall. Extracts from the rhizomes and roots have been used by various American Indian tribes to treat respiratory ailments, epilepsy, tetanus, cramps, and spasms. An ointment made from the powdered root has been used to treat ringworm, rheumatism, and skin irritations. When prepared properly, the young leaves and rhizomes can be eaten. Commonly found in rich woods from March until May, hepatica or liverleaf grows from 3 to 6 inches tall. The leaves were thought to have a medicinal value for treating liver ailments. Bloodroot blooms from March into April in rich woods and on steep slopes. It ranges from 4 inches to 1 foot tall. The underground stem or rhizome appears to bleed if broken. The plant is poisonous if eaten and a skin irritant to some. It has antiseptic, anesthetic, expectorant, and antifungal qualities. It is being investigated for cancer treatment. Viadent toothpaste and mouthwash both contain an alkaloid compound extracted from the bloodroot. Resembling the common dandelion, coltsfoot is less common and is found in roadside ditches and along stream sides. It blooms from March into June and ranges from 2 to 18 inches in height. It is edible and was used medicinally for coughs and as a poultice for wounds. The dandelion is to many of us ubiquitous. It is found along roadsides, in fields, and commonly in lawns. It flowers from March through October with stems from 2 inches to 1 foot long. The greens are edible and were considered to be a tonic by early settlers long before the days of vitamin pills. They are packed with vitamin A, ascorbic acid, calcium, and potassium. In addition, dandelion flower wine can be made, and the taproot can be roasted and ground to serve as a coffee substitute. Medicinally, it has been used as a laxative and to purify the blood, liver, kidney, and spleen. Golden ragwort grows in damp to wet areas by local streams, swales, and edges of marshes. The scalloped oval basal leaves persist through the winter with an 18-inch tall stem emerging in the early spring with clusters of numerous flower buds. These buds open to reveal golden yellow flower heads. As in other members of the aster or daisy family, each flower head is made up of many separate flowers. This species was used extensively by Indian tribes to treat problems of the male and female reproductive systems, urinary tract problems, high blood pressure, nervous problems, and respiratory system problems, including tuberculosis. Cutleaf toothwort is found in rich, moist, deciduous woods from mid-March into May. Flowers may be white or pink and appear on 6 to 12-inch stems. Several American Indian tribes use the peppery rhizome in various food preparations. Dutchman's breeches usually bloom in early April with the flowers lasting 2.5 to 3 weeks. This unusual flower is appropriately named, for a stalk of 4 to 10 miniature white pantaloons appear to be suspended in an inverted position from the stalk. This wildflower grows in rich soils. Squirrel corn is closely related to Dutchman's breeches. It grows in the same habitat and has almost the same leaves. But squirrel corn has flowers resembling white hearts and blooms a week or so after Dutchman's breeches. Both species are poisonous to cattle. A drug known as corydalus, made from the root structure, was once used as a diuretic and to treat skin infections and syphilis. Rue anemone is a delicate member of the buttercup family with dainty white to pink-tinged flowers. This species tends to grow in drier habitats in open woods from April to May. It ranges from 3 to 6 inches in height. Teas from the roots were used by some Indian tribes to treat diarrhea and vomiting. The tuberous root structures were also eaten. Spring Beauty was named for John Clayton, an early American botanist who supplied material for an 18th century guide to the flora of Virginia. It typically ranges from 4 to 6 inches in height and is commonly found in rich, open-wooded slopes and floodplains from March through May. The underground corm is quite tasty and was a popular treat for Indian children. Yellow and white trout lilies are found in rich, moist woods in early spring. They grow from 2 to 6 inches tall and are generally found in large colonies. The white trout lily, a more northern species, is much less common in the mid-Atlantic region. American Indians used trout lily extract as an emetic to induce vomiting, as a root tea to break fevers, and in a poultice of crushed leaves to treat wounds. One of the more common trillium species is the toadshade or sessile trillium, which grows from 4 to 8 inches tall. A rarer species is the large-flowered trillium, which grows from 8 inches to 1 foot tall. Both species bloom a bit later than the earliest spring wildflowers, with the sessile trillium starting to bloom in mid-April and the large-flowered trillium in late April to early May. Both species are found in rich, well-drained deciduous woods, in coves, and on slopes. The ill-scented trillium flowers from March to June in rich woods at practically all altitudes. The painted trillium grows in acidic soils at middle and high altitudes in cool, moist woods. Its bloom appears on the 8 to 12-inch stem in May and June. There are many medicinal and edible uses of the trilliums, although today they are generally not common enough in most areas for anyone to collect or eat. The rhizomes were used by American Indians and in folk medicine to induce labor in childbirth, to reduce bleeding, to treat female disorders, as an astringent to stop nosebleeds, as well as internal hemorrhaging, as a poultice to treat skin sores, ulcers, insect stings, and to treat diarrhea. In addition, the young leaves are edible raw or parboiled. Purple dead nettle, which grows from 4 to 9 inches tall, is commonly found along roadsides and in fields from March to May. Henbit is commonly found in waste places, fields, and roadsides from March to November and grows from 4 to 9 inches high. The species name is Latin for clasping or embracing and describes how the upper leaf bases seem to clasp the stem. The common name implies that the leaves are eaten by chickens. Both of these mint species have been used as a source of vitamin C and to treat scurvy. Ground ivy grows up to 8 inches high and becomes extensive ground cover in woods, fields, and along roadsides from March through June. It was used to treat coughs, measles, digestive system problems, and wounds as a poultice. Originally from Europe, bugleweed, which grows up to 10 inches in height, is commonly seen from May through July. It was used as an astringent and to treat wounds, sores, and bruises. Spicebush, a 3 to 5 foot shrub, is commonly found blooming in deciduous woods in late March. The fruits can be dried, powdered, and used as a substitute for allspice. A tea can be made from the leaves, twigs, and bark. Early surveyors regarded spicebush as an indicator of good agricultural land. It was used medicinally to treat coughs, colds, measles, and intestinal worms. The delicate flowers of the serviceberry appear in dry upland woodlands from late March into April. As an understory tree, serviceberry averages between 10 to 12 feet in height. The fruits of a number of species of serviceberry were prized by many tribes of American Indians. The early settlers sold the fruits commercially at one time. The fruits were eaten fresh, dried, or were pounded along with other berries and meat to make pemmican cakes. Medicinal uses included teas to prevent miscarriages, to ease pain after childbirth, to treat diarrhea and dysentery, to eliminate worms, and as a spring tonic. The common blue violet grows from 2 to 8 inches tall and is found blooming in moist fields, roadsides, woodlands, and lawns from March through June. The leaves are high in vitamins A and C and can be used in salads and cooked as greens. The flowers can be made into jellies and candies. The birdfoot violet is found in locations similar to the common blue violet. It grows from 2 to 6 inches tall and blooms from April to June. It is pollinated by bees and butterflies, and many consider it the most beautiful violet in the world. The smooth yellow violet is very common. It too blooms from April to June along roadsides, in open woods and fields, and grows from 2 to 6 inches tall. The sweet white violet is found blooming in rich woods from April to May. It ranges from 3 to 5 inches in height. Canada violet grows from 6 to 16 inches tall and blooms in woods from April to June. Medical uses of violets include treating all major systems of the body. They contain salicylic acid and have antiseptic and fungicidal properties. Poultices of the leaves have been used to treat wounds, warts, and corns. They were also used to treat cancer of the mouth by some tribes. Believe it or not, this is a member of the violet family known as the green violet. It is not very common, but can be found growing on calcareous or alkaline-derived soils. The three-parted capsule of the green violet is similar to that of the other violets. Twin leaf is found on rich wooded slopes with alkaline soil. The plant grows from 8 to 12 inches tall, and the leaves resemble butterfly wings. The delicate flowers appear in early to mid-April and usually last only a few days. The genus name Jeffersonia was assigned in honor of Thomas Jefferson. There have been numerous uses of twin leaf by American Indians and herbalists even into this century. It was used to treat ailments ranging from rheumatism and urinary problems to ulcers. In the 1870s, this plant sold for the high price of 7 cents a pound to be made into medicinal compounds to treat rheumatism. Bluet flowers vary from blue to almost white. They are commonly found blooming in clusters in open woods, fields, and along stream sides in April and May. They range from 2 to 6 inches in height. A tea from the leaves was used by the Cherokee Indians to stop bedwetting. The leaves of ramps or wild leeks have died back by early summer when this plant is in bloom. It grows in rich woodlands, and the stems range from 6 to 18 inches in height. When the leaves appear in early spring, these herbs can be gathered for food. Traditional medicinal uses of ramps include treatment of earaches, coughs, and colds. This plant was so welcomed by the early settlers of the mountainous regions that it is still celebrated at ramp festivals throughout the Appalachians. Virginia bluebells are found on floodplains or in rich, damp woods. They are truly spring ephemerals, for after the vegetative parts emerge, which grow from 1 to 2 feet in height, clusters of trumpet-shaped flowers appear in early to mid-April. By the end of May, no trace of the plant can be seen above ground, although the energy has been stored underground in the rhizomes for the following spring. Cherokee Indians used it as a diuretic and to treat whooping cough and other respiratory problems. Wild ginger is found in cool, moist, shaded woods and blooms from mid-April into May. The heart-shaped leaves stand 3 to 10 inches tall. The rhizomes were used by American Indians and early settlers to flavor foods and to treat such problems as headaches, stomach gas, colic, digestive upset, colds, fevers, female problems, and to help induce labor in childbirth. More recently, antibiotic substances have been isolated from wild ginger and other members of this genus. Bees are the chief pollinators of the shooting star. This beautiful species typically grows from 6 to 15 inches tall and is found blooming in open woods, meadows, and prairies from April to June. Sweet Cicely is named for the sweet odor of licorice that is given off when the roots and leaves are broken. From 1 to 2 feet tall, these plants are found along stream banks and in moist woods and bloom from April to June. Both a smooth and hairy species are common to our area. Each has been used to treat coughs, stomach problems, to make poultices to treat wounds, and as an eye wash. Blue cohosh blooms from May to June in rich woods. It grows from 1 to 3 feet high. The rootstock was used medicinally as a sedative, to treat colic, and to induce labor. What appear to be blue fruits are actually exposed seeds that may be toxic. The only hardy member of this mostly tropical custard apple family, the pawpaw, seldom grow higher than 20 feet in more northern regions. The pawpaw blooms in April, prefers shade, and is found most often in moist and fertile locations, such as alluvial soils along streams. The fully ripened fruit is best eaten raw. Indian tribes also use the fibers of the inner bark to make rope and string. When you rub the leaves of pawpaw, they have a strong smell similar to fuel oil. Commonly found in moist woods, the smooth Solomon's seal ranges from 1 to 4 feet in height and blooms from May through June. It was used for a variety of medicinal purposes, such as to treat bleeding, heart problems, rheumatism, female problems, contraception, and to increase labor contractions. The false Solomon's seal, commonly found in moist woods and roadside banks, grows from 1 to 3 feet and blooms from May through July. The leaves of this species are often confused with those of the true or smooth Solomon's seal until the flowers of both appear. The berries are edible, as well as the rhizomes and young shoots, if prepared properly. In addition, various American Indian tribes crushed the rhizomes into a poultice to treat wounds. It was also used to treat female disorders. Introduced from Europe, the Star of Bethlehem blooms from April to June along roadsides, in fields, and wood borders. It ranges from 4 to 10 inches in height. This species is poisonous if ingested. The perfoliated bellwort is a handsome addition to the mid-spring blooming scene. There is a drooping, yellow, bell-shaped flower that is solitary on the blooming stem. In the perfoliated bellwort, the stem penetrates through the lower end of the leaf, a condition described as perfoliate. This species grows in dry to moist woods and is edible. Medicinal uses have included treating snake bites, nervous conditions, diarrhea, and wounds. The wild columbine grows from 1 to 2 feet tall on rocky, wooded, or open slopes. It blooms from April through July. The beautiful drooping bell-like flowers have backward-pointing tubes with nectar that attract ruby-throated hummingbirds. Traditional medical uses included treating heart problems, intestinal worms, and female problems. The seeds of this plant were even used as a love charm. The Virginia waterleaf is named for the water-stained appearance of its leaves. It ranges from 8 inches to 2 feet in height and blooms during May and June in rich woods, on moist wooded slopes, and along borders of woods. Broad-leaved waterleaf is also common in our area. Both species have been used to treat dysentery and diarrhea, as well as cracked lips and sores of the mouth. Jack in the pulpit can be found from May through July in moist woodlands and bogs. It grows from 1 to 3 feet tall. Plants primarily have male or female flowers. The male plant can be recognized by the spadix of purple stamens, and on the female plant, the spadix has a cluster of green, button-like pistils. These structures are actually small green ovaries, each topped by a translucent stigma and style. The plants contain calcium oxalate crystals that cause extreme burning if eaten and may cause skin irritation after being handled. The underground stem or corm was used as food by the American Indians, but only after preparation by drying or roasting to break down these crystals. In addition to edible uses, jacks have been used medicinally. The corms were grated, boiled in milk, and used to treat coughs and tuberculosis. The corm was also used to relieve stomach gas, asthma, and rheumatism. The chickweeds are generally small plants frequently found spreading across the ground in lawns, gardens, fields, and roadsides. 2 species, the giant chickweed shown and the common chickweed, have flowers that appear from April through June. The 5 petals are so deeply cut that there seem to be 10 present on the flower. Early plants are about 4 inches and typically grow no taller than 10 to 12 inches. Common chickweed was used medicinally to treat intestinal worms, hemorrhoids, fevers, eye inflammation, and as a diuretic and laxative. Young leaves are edible in salads. The wild geranium is commonly found blooming in woods and along roadside banks from April to June. It ranges from 8 to 18 inches tall. As late as the 1950s, this species was listed as a medicinal plant in pharmaceutical botany texts. Primary uses were for its astringent and antiseptic qualities due to the high levels of tannins in its tissues. Some Indian women use this species for birth control and urinary tract problems, as well as an astringent and styptic agent to treat wounds and stop bleeding. Redbud is an abundant tree throughout the region. It is widely used as an ornamental. Its pea-like magenta blossoms are at their peak in late March and throughout April, often appearing before the leaves. The flower buds were often eaten by Indian children, while the bark was used as an astringent and to treat whooping cough. The flowering dogwood, the state flower of Virginia and North Carolina, can be found as an understory species in a hardwood forest or growing in a field. It grows in a variety of soil and moisture conditions and quickly recovers after a fire. The white to pink petals of the dogwood are actually bracts. The true flowers are small, yellow, and tightly clustered in the center of the bracts. It blooms in this area from mid-April to mid-May. It was used by Native Americans to treat malaria, diarrhea, and dysentery. During the Civil War, when the blockade of southern ports caused a shortage of quinine, many Southerners used an extract of dogwood bark to treat malaria. Ranging from 8 inches to 2.5 feet in height, the golden Alexander can be found in moist woods and meadows and along stream edges. Its yellow blooms can be enjoyed from late April into early June. Medicinal uses included treating fevers and wounds, inducing sleep, and possibly to cure syphilis. The attractive foam flower spreads by underground stems to form colonies in shaded, wooded sites. It blooms from April into June and ranges from 6 to 12 inches tall. This species was used to make poultices to treat wounds. It was also used to treat mouth and eye problems. The wild blue phlox grows from 6 to 18 inches tall and is commonly found in open woods, along roadsides, and riverbanks. The blooms, which appear in late March through June, range from pale blue to purple, with an occasional white to pinkish blue variation. The flowers of the dwarf or spring larkspur appear during April and May in rich woods. The plant, which grows from 4 to 24 inches high, contains a harmful alkaloid that frequently poisons grazing cattle. Mayapple is found in rich woods and thickets and along the edges of woods. The white flowers begin to open by the end of April or the first week of May. The plant is from 8 to 18 inches in height. The ripe fruits are edible, but its immature fruits and vegetative structures are poisonous. Mayapple was used by Native American tribes to treat worms, liver problems, rheumatism, whooping cough, cholera, and pneumonia, and at higher doses to commit suicide. 6 anti-cancer drugs derived from the mayapple rhizome are in use today in the United States and Europe, including treatments for testicular cancer, 2 types of leukemia, 2 types of lung cancer, and Kaposi sarcoma. At one time, mayapple was also an active ingredient in Carter's little liver pills. Garlic mustard grows from 2 to 3 feet tall in moist, open woods and roadsides. It blooms from April into June, and the plant has the odor of onion or garlic. This European introduction is edible and has been used in salads. It was also used medicinally as a diuretic and antiseptic. Black mustard is a native of Europe where it is extensively cultivated for its seed, the source of our table mustard. On a stem 2 to 3 feet tall appear the small yellow flowers which bloom throughout the summer and may continue until frost. This widespread herb thrives in waste places and fields. Yellow rocket is also a native of Europe where it was once used as an edible and medicinal species. We now know that it can damage the kidneys and should not be used for these purposes. It is similar in appearance to the previous species and grows from 1 to 2 feet in similar habitats. A good field guide will help you distinguish this species from black mustard. Several species of buttercups are commonly found blooming in fields and along roadsides from April into June. The stems typically grow from 4 inches to 1 foot in height. Most buttercups are poisonous if eaten, and for some people, they may cause a skin irritation. Even though these species can blister skin on contact, traditional medicinal uses included treating sore throats, as a sedative, and as poultices for treating wounds. The lesser celandine is a low-growing member of the buttercup family. It is an introduced species that can often cover extensive areas near streams and damp swales. It has astringent properties and in the past has been used to treat hemorrhoids. The Indian strawberry is a small trailing plant with flower stalks up to 3 inches high. The yellow flowers are framed by 5 3-toothed bracts. The tasteless red fruit resembles a strawberry. It is commonly found blooming in yards and waste places from April through July, but this hardy species has been observed blooming past the first frost. It is a native of Asia and contains many medicinal uses. The whole plant was used as an astringent for abscesses, insect stings, burns, eczema, and rheumatism. The whole plant tea was used to treat laryngitis and coughs. Several species of common cinquefoil have a similar appearance. They are also called 5 fingers, which refers to their 5 leaflets. These leaflets help distinguish them from the Indian strawberry. They bloom from May into August along roadsides and in fields, ranging from 8 inches to 2 feet. These species were used medicinally as an astringent and to treat fevers, diarrhea, and dysentery. Found in fields, lawns, and roadsides, the grape hyacinth grows from 2 to 10 inches in height and blooms in April and May. The bulbs are edible. Located in open woods and along roadsides, the lily of the valley can be found in dense colonies ranging from 4 to 10 inches in height, with blooms occurring from May to June. The plants are poisonous if eaten and can irritate the skin in some individuals. Wild stonecrop is found on rock outcrops, rocky slopes, and woods. It ranges from 2 to 8 inches in height and blooms from May to June. It was purported to have laxative properties. Cleavers commonly grow in woods and thickets. Flowers appear from May through July on stems which range from 8 inches to 3 feet. The bristles cause the leaves, stems, and fruits to cleave to our clothes and the fur of animals. They are also known as bed straws, since the pleasant-smelling foliage was used to stuff mattresses, since the silica in the stems kept this material from breaking down. This species is a member of the coffee family, and its roasted seeds have been used as a coffee substitute. It is a good source of vitamin C and was used to treat or prevent scurvy. It was even used to treat head lice in children. The pink lady slipper has one of our largest orchid flowers and is usually found in areas with pine and other conifer needles. Like other woodland wildflowers, it should not be picked. It flowers from April to July on 6 to 15-inch stems and prefers dry forests, especially pine woods. The yellow lady slipper forms a variable population. It grows in bogs, swamps, and rich woods. The species name is derived from Latinized Greek and means a little shoe. It flowers in May and June on stems ranging from 8 inches to 2.5 feet. The Cherokee Indians made a preparation from the roots that was drunk as a treatment for worms. A rare species, the showy orchis, blooms in May and June in rich woods. It ranges from 5 to 12 inches and should not be picked. Although the yellow lady's slipper and the showy orchis have been used to treat nervous conditions, these lady's slippers and other orchids should never be collected due to declining populations. Squaw root, also known as cancer root, is commonly found in oak woods growing from 4 to 10 inches tall. The genus name Canophilus is Greek for cone scale and refers to the pine cone-like appearance of the plant. The flowers appear in May and the capsular fruit is set in June. The plants are found in dense colonies, usually under the oaks they parasitize. It was used to treat cancer. A related species, one-flowered cancer root, parasitizes the roots of the white wood aster. This aster has heart-shaped leaves that persist through the spring and are a sign by which you may find the one-flowered cancer root. This species somewhat resembles Indian pipes, a summer-blooming species which is neither parasitic nor in the broomrape family. Plantain-leaved pussytoes grow from 4 to 12 inches tall on dry open slopes and in rocky meadows. Male and female plants grow separately and bloom from April into June. The female flower heads are more elongate while the male flower heads are broader and flatter with numerous red stamens protruding from the upper surface of the flower head. The medicinal uses included treatment of diarrhea, dysentery, lung ailments, and even snake bites. Rattlesnake weed can be found in open woods and fields. It ranges from 8 to 18 inches tall and blooms from May through August. The distinctive leaves with red venation and prominent hairs persist throughout the year and add color to the forest floor. As the name implies, Indian tribes use this species to treat snake bites. Other uses included treatment of diarrhea, coughs, and wounds. The dwarf iris and the vernal iris are both native irises that are miniature in size. The dwarf iris has wider leaves and is found in moister habitats than the vernal iris, which has narrower leaves. Both of these species average 4 to 5 inches in height. The yellow iris was introduced from Europe and is found in moist habitats such as marshes and wet meadows. These handsome irises grow up to 2 feet in height and add color to their surroundings. This attractive blue native iris, called the blue flag, is found in wet habitats, often in large clumps. It is one of our rarer native irises. Iris species have been used medicinally as a diuretic and as a purgative, as well as to treat syphilis, spleen problems, and female problems. The pinkster flower is an attractive shrub with only slightly fragrant white and pink flowers. The rosy azalea has deeper pink flowers that are more fragrant and more common in the mountains than the pinkster flower. All azaleas are poisonous, yet were still used historically to treat rheumatism. This breathtaking native rhododendron, known as the rosebay, blooms in very late spring into early summer at higher altitudes in the mountains of our area. This species can form dense thickets. The flower color can vary from white to deep rose. Like azaleas, rhododendrons are toxic, but were used to treat heart ailments, rheumatism, arthritis, and headaches. It also provided wood for carving by local folk. Mountain laurel is another toxic member of the rhododendron family. The large clusters of the white to pink flowers of the mountain laurel are very showy. Each delicate flower has a pleated corolla with the stamens attached to it. When a pollinator, such as a bee, lands on the flower, these stamens break loose and, like a catapult, throw pollen into the pollinator. Despite the toxicity of this species, it was still used to treat syphilis, rheumatism, heart conditions, headaches, and wounds. Trailing arbutus is a prostrate shrub that has fragrant white flowers that bloom in earlier spring. This plant grows on dry hillsides and has become uncommon around developed areas. A tea from the leaves has been used to treat chest ailments, digestive system problems, and kidney complications. Partridgeberry is one of the most unusual wildflowers in our area in terms of its fruit. This member of the madder family, to which bluets and bedstraw also belong, produces pairs of lovely white flowers. The ovaries of both flowers fuse to produce an oblong berry that appears to have 2 eye spots where the upper parts of the 2 pistils once were. This favored medicinal species was used to treat female reproductive system problems, dysentery, fevers, insomnia, diarrhea, nervous system problems, and even hemorrhoids. Although the berries are edible, they are preferred by wildlife since they are not very tasty to humans. Early saxifrage is one of the earlier spring wildflowers which blooms in early April. The basal rosette of leaves persists through the winter. In spring, an elongated stem with a cluster of white flowers emerges from a small fuzzy knob in the center of the basal leaves. The flowering stem may reach 1 foot in height. One of the few medicinal uses of this plant was to break up kidney stones. Some plants can cause mild to severe skin irritations. One should learn to recognize these species and avoid contact with them. Poison ivy has 3 leaflets that usually are shiny on the surface. These leaflets typically have a smooth margin or shallow teeth. Contact with mature or emerging leaves, stems, including vines and twigs, aerial roots and/or underground stems, which cause a skin outbreak if one is allergic to the non-volatile oil in all parts of the plant. Even dormant or dead vines or twigs may cause this reaction. Burning these plants is very dangerous since the oils can become suspended on the smoke particles. Breathing these oils can result in a serious allergic reaction which can be life-threatening in some individuals. Ironically, various Indian tribes use poison ivy medicinally for skin ailments. Beginning in the 1640s, it was exported to Europe for over 150 years. It was used as a diuretic, laxative, and to treat skin ailments, as well as for rheumatism and neuralgia. Virginia creeper is a poison ivy look-alike with 5 leaflets. Some people may have a mild allergic skin reaction to it, but not like that caused by poison ivy. Medicinal uses of this plant included treating jaundice conditions, diarrhea, various types of wounds, and even lockjaw. The berries of Virginia creeper are toxic. Stinging nettle and the related species wood nettle can cause dermatitis and prolonged stinging of the skin. Young nettle leaves can be gathered with gloves, cooked to break down the reactive compound, and eaten as a source of vitamins A and C, as well as iron and calcium. Medicinal uses of this plant have ranged from treating diarrhea, constipation, gout, and arthritis, to bedwetting, migraines, and impotence. At one time, tuberculosis was even treated with this plant. Both the orange-colored spotted and the yellow-colored pale jewelweed, or touch-me-not species, offer an effective treatment for the irritation of poison ivy and stinging nettle. These jewelweed species are succulent members of the balsam family, which bloom from midsummer into fall. The young seedlings that appear in the spring can be crushed, and the juice can be applied topically to treat these skin problems. The juice may also be used as a preventive agent after exposure to poison ivy, stinging nettle, and insect stings. These seedlings can also be pulverized in a blender, frozen in ice trays, and stored for future treatment. Commercially available extracts of jewelweed may be purchased in some drugstores. In addition to jewelweed, common plantain leaves can also be crushed and used to treat the irritation of both of these problems. This video has presented some of the more interesting historical uses of these spring wildflowers. Even though some of these species are currently being evaluated and used in modern medicine, the authors do not encourage self-medication with these plants. In using wild plants, one does not know the concentrations of active ingredients, nor the interaction of such ingredients with prescription and non-prescription drugs. Individual differences in physiology and immune systems also make such self-medication risky. Because many of the wildflowers presented are rare, endangered, and/or protected by law, it is important to conserve them not only for their beauty, but for the ecological role they play in each of their habitats. Over-collecting or even minimal collecting by many individuals can further endanger local populations. Certain groups, such as the orchids, should never be collected under any conditions. If you do collect these plants medicinally, please collect only weedy species or those such as jewelweeds that are annuals and prolific self-seeders. As the forest canopy is formed, the long hot days of summer signal the arrival of a new type of wildflower. Sun-loving meadow plants dominate the landscape, and the early spring wildflowers disappear. Most of the species we have looked at are spring ephemerals. As the tree canopy fills in, the vegetative foliage of the wildflowers dies back so that the nutrients in their leaves and stems can be recycled. As summer fades into autumn, summer and fall species prepare for winter. But beneath the forest floor, the underground storage structures such as the rhizomes, bulbs, and corms of the spring wildflowers are waiting to burst forth and exhibit a breathtaking pageant of color next spring. We encourage you to enjoy the lovely display of wildflowers throughout all of the seasons.
We're really excited about this video of spring wildflowers that we've been working on in the last 2 years and have just released this earlier this year. This video had its inception with John and Suzanne. John, would you and Suzanne like to tell us about the video?
Suzanne said she doesn't want to talk a lot, even though this is the voice of the video right here, Suzanne Lohr. And basically, it's something that I had always thought about, but we had Marion's field botany class, and she required a project. So I had in mind, well, I would do a video on spring wildflowers. And Suzanne said, well, I'll help you do it if it's okay. I said, sure. And so we put it together and presented it to Marion, and she liked it so well. I said, well, why don't we get together and really produce a professional copy, and then we can basically use it to teach what we've always been doing, identification and understanding of the spring wildflowers. So that's basically how it happened. We became a team in her field botany class from the University of Virginia.
Right, and I think Marion just gets everybody so excited, whoever she takes with her anyway, about wildflowers. And it's really been a great synthesis of what all three of us have been able to do, because both of them have great photography skills, and I'm just learning how to do that. And I enjoy doing the research. And I guess with all three of us together, we've come up with a product that we're pleased with.
And with the photography, I know I've been photographing since about 72 wildflowers. And John, you probably go back almost that far. But Suzanne is a quick study, and she's been doing some beautiful photography. And we certainly want to thank Chris Rogers for helping us put this all together and supporting us with our efforts.